Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people. We the people. We the people.
We the people of the United States.
We the people call the 48th Quadrennial Democratic National Convention to order.
Whoa. Did you guys watch? Yeah, me either. You didn't? Oh, a little bit. It's hard to watch because it was funny. People asked, did I watch any of the last conventions? I'm like, not really, because I was like, we were in the middle of it. So we didn't really see it. It's like an athlete playing a game. Did you see that? No, I was playing. I didn't get to see it. But yeah, I mean, I watched as much as I could. It's kind of all over the place. You got to remember, it's kind of like boxing. If you ever watch a boxing match, they have like preliminaries that start at like Tyson would fight at 10 o'clock. And before that, they had 40 fights before you got to the pay-per-view, and there were actually people in there. So throughout the day, there's stuff going on. But the big hitters, like Coachella, they don't come out till later. Like, you're not going to see Beyonce at noon on a side stage. Right? She's 10 o'clock, main stage. That didn't happen till much later. And before you get to Beyonce, you got a few decent size, and then you get to the point where it gets a little bit bigger. You're like, oh, yeah, Beck's on. Oh, okay, I've heard of Beck. And then who? Well, the Tame Impalas. Oh, yeah, they're pretty good. And then you got the Killers. And then Beyonce. You're like, oh, okay. And that's kind of what it was last night. Last night, the big one was Michelle Obama. But you had to go through everybody else. You had to go through the likes of Republican John Kasich.
The stakes in this election are greater than any in modern times. Many of us have been deeply concerned about the current path we've been following for the past 4 years. It's a path that's led to division, dysfunction, irresponsibility, and growing vitriol between our citizens. Continuing to follow that path will have terrible consequences for America's soul, because we're being taken down the wrong road by a president who is pitted one against the other. He's unlike all of our best leaders before him, who worked to unite us, to bridge our differences, and lead us to a united America.
Well, different times. It was funny, Kasich appeared in the situation, it was like a fork in the road. It was like a choose your own adventure. And he chose to go left this time instead of right. But he wants to remind everybody he's right. Right? He wants to remind that. And that Joe is anything but super left.
I'm sure there are Republicans and independents who couldn't imagine crossing over to support a Democrat. They fear Joe may turn sharp left and leave them behind. I don't believe that, because I know the measure of the man. It's reasonable, respectful. And no one pushes Joe around. Joe Biden is a man for our times that call for all of us to take off our partisan hats and put our nation first for ourselves and, of course, for our children.
Again, John Kasich there. Do I think Joe will take us left? No. Do I think Joe is going to have a lot of people that will push us further and further left? He'll be left of center, don't get me wrong. But the reality is, I think at the end of the day, a lot more people will have their opportunity to push Joe into certain areas. Joe's going to have, much like a lot of times when the president is elected, doesn't matter what side it is, and when it was. Go back and look through history. People inside their own party gave them as much of a pain in their ass as in the other side of the aisle in their party. Because everybody thinks we got a mandate, we do whatever we want. So I want all my stuff now. I want all the stuff. Michelle Obama last night. And by the way, people are like, she snubbed Kamala. Two things. A, she didn't snub Kamala. B, she recorded this like a week ago before Kamala. Or Kamala. I want to, Mrs. Harris. How's that? So I'm going to screw it up. I'm just going to call her just Miss Harris. Before Miss Harris was the choice. And it meant so much to her that she couldn't even be asked to go back and do it again. She's like, nah, I did it. Just take it for what it is.
Because whenever we look to this White House for some leadership or consolation or any semblance of steadiness, what we get instead is chaos, division, and a total and utter lack of empathy.
Yeah, Trump's not good at the empathy. Chaos, he likes it. Chaos, he thrives in chaos. Some people thrive in chaos. Chaos is what they love. It calms them down. And a lot of times it's people that are very much like Trump. Narcissist, super focused and driven, believe their way is it. They're about winning over everything. And they're great at what they do. They're great at what they do. Doesn't mean it's the best way, but empathy is not a place you're going to find that's big in their world. You're not going to be looking around going, oh, look at the size in your heart. You got this big, giant, huge empathy. No, you're not going to find that. It's win, 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 driven. And chaos, I think chaos quiets the insanity of being so driven, if that makes sense. You go look at Tiger. I'm going to say this. Sounds horrible. Go look at Tiger. When was Tiger playing his best golf? In theory. Well, he was lots of women, lots of chaos, lots of insanity, which I think quieted his golf game. Michael Jordan liked the same kind of things. He likes the chaos and the insanity. He loved that kind of stuff. It helps them. Same thing with great artists. Now, is Trump divisive? Absolutely, 110%. Are other people divisive? And they don't see that. They're too busy. They're screaming at the others, oh my God, you guys are the worst. You're wrong. You're evil. We need to cancel you, as if that's not divisive. Both sides get to be divisive. They just don't see it. It's like kids. It's never your kid, right? It's like, that's the other kid. My kid's great. It's not my kid, your kid. Very few people go, yeah, my kid's kind of a Richard. Can happen. Sorry about that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me and text the program. All of this is going on, and we're still dealing with the insanity of the coronavirus. Dr. Birx yesterday was rather interesting. Did a long interview talking about all kinds of stuff.
When you're asking people to change behavior, you have to meet them where they are. And so I've tried to really carry the message of this is what we know works, and this is what we know will stop the cases of the virus.
Yeah. So what works? Well, lots of things I think work. Social distancing is a big thing, because if you're not around people in great numbers, the chance of you getting something diminishes. The mask, I think, helps. Worst case scenario, the mask alleviates other people's stresses that may think if you're out there, I can't be out there. And I'm okay. I respect human beings enough. I respect you enough that I'm totally fine with that. That's why I wear a mask when I go into stores. When they ask me to do stuff, it's not taking away any of my freedoms. That's, like I say, when they come into your house, when they do some of those things that, you know, you're outside on a walk and you see what's going on in Hoboken. I last week I saw something, I don't know if you saw this, producer. This is the greatest thing ever. I think it was Wisconsin, where if you're on a Zoom call, you may have to wear a mask. And I thought to myself, I don't know if have you read anywhere where it can travel through electricity and or the Wi-Fi? Anybody? No. That's the insanity. That we're like, I'm not doing those things. But she also said this.
And I wish that when we went into lockdown, we looked like Italy. But when Italy locked down, I mean, people weren't allowed out of their houses. And they couldn't come out but once every 2 weeks to buy groceries for 1 hour. And they had to have a certificate that said they were allowed. Americans don't react well to that kind of prohibition.
No, that's never going to happen. We're going to push back in a major way. That is insane. That is insane. On my local show, we have a guy named Gus who comes on. He's a former backup quarterback for ASU, but now he's a big opera singer, and he's in Barcelona. And he was telling us that, hey, we're allowed to go out like once a week for like 2 hours, and it was certain days, and you have to carry this paper with you. Otherwise, you're inside the house the whole time. And they did it for like 2-3 months, and he would go on the balcony and sing to everybody, and it was great. But that's just never going to happen here. We'll push back. That's the difference between us and so many other places. Why did this thing spread so fast? Here's the reality of it. I don't care what Trump was going to do. Trump could have came out and said, we're locking everybody down for a month. It was locking it down. You can't even leave your house. We'll deliver you food. We'll deliver your medicine. We'll do all of those things. Wouldn't matter. People are going to push back. That's our nature. Hence the reason why we are the United States of America. We push back. So, no, it'd be a lot tougher. Plus, a lot of countries trust their government. We're inherently distrustful of government and big powers. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. Love hearing from every one of you. I can't believe she did not go back and record something new. She was like, no. Oh, my goodness. So check this out. Raycons, best earbuds around. You'll love them. They are amazing. Incredible. 6 hours of talk time, seamless Bluetooth pairing. You don't have the stems or the wires that stick out. None of that stuff. It's just awesome. Better sound quality, nice noise isolating fit. So whether you're making phone calls, whether you're doing one of those conference calls via video, or just want to listen to one of your favorite podcasts, Chad Benson Show, you're going to hear it. And when you need to be heard, you're going to be heard. That's the beauty of it. So same thing goes. Maybe your kids are doing stuff and you're just like, I can't. I got to focus on this and I can't. That's the beauty of it. It is incredible. The comfort is amazing. The sound quality is awesome. You will love these from top to bottom. Normally, you'd pay about $2.50 for these. These things start well under $100. Get yours today. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. When you do, you save 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Uniting America. Every 4 years, we come together to reaffirm our democracy. This year, we've come to save it. It's going to take all of us. So tonight, we stand together, united by the values we cherish: decency, respect, justice, and the opportunity to rise up.
Eva Longoria. I always like it's democracy. This is it. This guy gets in or this person takes over. It's the end of the world. People on the right. Joe wins. Kamala and AOC are going to run everything. We won't exist as a country anymore. What? Who? Trump wins again. Probably the second or third nuclear war he's driven us into is going to come. And next thing you know, brown shirts, people being dragged out on the street. I'm like, are you? What? What are you guys talking about? I just love listen how serious she is.
Uniting America. Every 4 years, we come together to reaffirm our democracy. This year, we've come to save it.
This year, we've come to save it. No applause. Do I clap here? Don't clap? Slow clap? Doesn't matter. Nobody can see you. Some of it was like watching the Brady Bunch. They're all looking. Hollywood Squares are all looking up and down. Did you say something? This is what Trump's going to do. You can have a disdain for Trump. Trump and everybody's sitting around going, okay, we're not doing this. Let's get the permit for fireworks. We need fireworks here. All right? I need somebody to build some sort of scaffolding over the Washington Monument. Just parallel so we can, let's just on top like a T. I'm going to emerge out of that. And then on top of that, Kid Rock. Up and down your block with a bottle of scotch and watching lots of. All right, so we'll do that. Is there any way we could get Lincoln to come out of the chair? Sir, it's Stone. No. We'll figure it out. Figure it out. Because he's P.T. Barnum. And it's you know what it reminds me of? I was sitting there last night going, did you ever see Revenge of the Nerds? So if you've never seen it, there's a part in Revenge of the Nerds where it's a week where they have to do all their games for their sororities and fraternities, and the jocks do this totally canned, silly little thing, and it's stupid. And then the next thing you know, there's fireworks over there, and the nerds are doing all of this awesome stuff, rap, and there's all kinds of light show. That's what it's going to be, because Trump's P.T. Barnum. Trump's television. Trump's big. He's bold. He's gold. It's obnoxious. But people will watch. And even people who are honest with themselves to go, well, that was a lot better. If we're just going for the pure entertainment value, yeah. And they got all the celebrities. The Democrats have all the celebrities. Everywhere. It's just celebrity after celebrity, all coming out. But Trump will figure out a way to P.T. Barnum it. He'll figure out a way. Like, how do we slap lipstick on this pig and make it look good? How do we do that? How do we make this bigger? How do we make this better? Not that it matters. Because it's just 4 days of them talking about how bad the other side is, what they're going to do. Trump's going to talk about how they're going to destroy the world. The left does what it does. They go out there and they talk about how he's going to destroy everything and he's going to, it's all the same. But from the entertainment value, that's a tough one last night. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Big Ten, so college football, which I'm excited is going to be coming back in some form because the ACC looks like they're coming back. The SEC's already announced when they're starting the first games, and all the games were released yesterday, what that looks like. The Big Ten, though, parents are pissed because they're hearing that maybe everything wasn't above board in the way that the decision was made to cancel the season.
I just hung up with Chris O'Shaughnessy, an Ohio State parent whose son Michael is on the team. He helped draft the letter to Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren, and I think he summed up the frustration of parents. He said to me, if you tell us it's not safe for our kids, tell us why. We want to know. He said, that's where I get mad.
Yeah, I understand that. Tell us why. Give us the reason why. Show us the facts, the figures. Because if kids are on campus, if they're playing intramural sports, if they're going to some classes, if they're eating food in the cafeteria, if they're doing everything and you're deciding not to play sports, just tell everybody why you're not playing sports. And some Big Ten people, even presidents, said, well, we really didn't have a vote. We just kind of discussed it. The next thing you know, it's gone. And this is going to hurt college football, but this is going to hurt some of these colleges in recruiting, not just players, but kids to go there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Our great nation is now living in an unprecedented moment. We're facing the worst public health crisis in 100 years and the worst economic collapse since the Great Depression. We are confronting systemic racism and the enormous threat to our planet of climate change. And in the midst of all of this, we have a president who is not only incapable of addressing these crises, but is leading us down the path of authoritarianism.
He compared him to Hitler one time. It's like, really? Oh, my goodness. We were talking about, like, why do we even have these things anymore? I'll tell you why we have them. Because this is what's always been done. And because it's always been done this way, this is what they do. That's just the way that things are. I mean, we like to continue down a path. We don't want to get ourselves in a better position to make things different. Maybe we should change it up a little bit. Maybe we shouldn't have these. They used to be kind of interesting. It used to be a get-to-know-you situation because we know everything about everybody now. We were talking about it earlier. We've talked about it for years. Why don't people watch the Oscars? Well, they don't want politics shoved down your throat. And the other reality is we used to only see stars once or twice a year in something that wasn't a movie or television. Now you can't escape them. I can see them at the gym, giving birth. I mean, sometimes naked. It's nonstop. I know everything about them. They're not mysterious anymore. They don't want to be. Guess what? We're not introducing people to the nation like we used to. They've already introduced themselves. This is just something they're doing. A chance to get a soundbite and go, Donald Trump is Adolf Hitler. And you're like, huh? It's like, how did you? Yeah, he doesn't like the climate. Okay, keep going. And the pandemic. We had a guy who fought a pandemic. That, to me, is always the funniest thing, when they roll that out.
When my husband left office with Joe Biden at his side, we had a record-breaking stretch of job creation. We'd secured the right to health care for 20 million people. We were respected around the world, rallying our allies to confront climate change. And our leaders had worked hand in hand with scientists to help prevent an Ebola outbreak from becoming a global pandemic.
Not going to happen, by the way. Just so one of them, today the CDC's like, you know what? Dust particles now. It's dust particles. Airborne dust particles. Wear a mask. It was never going to happen with the Ebola virus. They've rolled that out on a few occasions. At least she was honest there and said, help to prevent. Eva Longoria.
Joe knows about pandemics. In 2014, he helped stop the spread of Ebola and brought the world together to keep it contained. And after that success, knowing this would happen again, Vice President Biden and President Obama assembled a pandemic playbook to make sure that America was prepared and protected. The Trump administration disbanded the pandemic response team that was given to them. Americans have died and lost their livelihoods because of it.
First of all, I don't care what kind of playbook you had. And it's better to have some sort of plan. And Trump and them did tear some of that apart. It's no BSing around. I mean, the facts on this. But you don't know what you know until you know it. Meaning, we don't even know anything about this. Every day I turn around. Yesterday, CDC's like, I think you're immune for 3 months. Day before, New York Times is like, immunity looks like it's a year, according to all these doctors. Well, which is it? Yeah, tell me. Which one is it? Is it a year? We'll split the difference. Let's say it's like 9 months. Let's just go 9 months and we'll go from there. The Ebola virus was not a pandemic. There was an outbreak, as there always is, in certain areas in Africa. And it's usually contained there. We bring it here. We brought people here. 2 people died. 2 people died that we brought here. They're not the same thing. But smart thing to do, right? Compare it. How do you catch, by the way, how do you catch the Ebola virus? Exchanging of liquids. If it becomes airborne, we've got a serious problem. It hasn't. The exchanging of liquids, fluids, things of that nature. So we said it all the time when it was first here and everybody was panicking. If you could catch the Ebola virus, if you could walk around the streets of America and catch the Ebola virus, we were going to give you all of our salaries. It's never going to happen. Nobody took us up because you weren't going to be able to get it. You weren't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. All of that being said, other stuff is going on in the world. And some of that is schools. What's going on with schools? Kids are going to go back to schools. We had a sick out here yesterday in Arizona. It's going to be done again and again. Teachers don't want to go back because they're worried. Now, I continue to ask the question, are you worried for yourself or are you worried for the kids? So you're worried for yourself or you're worried for the kids? And what happens when the kids come back? Because kids are falling behind. They're falling behind left, right, and center. And some are trying to do certain things.
This morning, the L.A. School District, the second largest public school district in the country, is launching what could be the most ambitious school testing and contact tracing initiative in the nation.
In some ways, this is uncharted water.
It's uncharted.
Almost flying by the seat of your pants here.
We're trying something which has not been done.
The school district is aiming to administer regular COVID tests to its 700,000 students and over 75,000 staff. The goal is to get students who will be starting the year remotely back inside schools sooner.
Of course. We want it to be safer for everybody. They're trying to do testing. They're trying to do all kinds of stuff. This is what's interesting. What you didn't hear, 67,000 pediatricians signed a letter saying it's time to get kids back in school. That's big. Well, cases are jumping amongst kids. I get that. They can spread. How much can they spread? You show me one report they do. How much? And it looks to be that especially older kids, mid-teens, they spread it a lot more than the younger children will, as far as potentially to adults. But are we worried about them, or are we worried about the teachers? This started out with let's flatten the curve to the point now where it's like, well, we're probably going to need a vaccine. I'm like, okay.
Starting testing early to establish a baseline to keep track of any potential infections and growth.
So there will literally be a clinician standing outside the gate of the school monitoring in real time.
Even more than that, we will give you an appointment to be tested. You will do a self-attestation at home, gold standard. So we've got two types. We've got the nasal swab, and we have some in the cheek. The nasal are cheaper. We're going with an innovative lab that allows us to get the volume on an overnight basis at a price which makes it feasible.
But the cost, nearly $240 million.
Oh, that's solid. $240 million for that. Kids will die from the flu at a higher number. And even that's still not like they're dying in the tens of thousands. But we're not shutting down the schools for flu. This is about the teachers. Want them to be safe. We talked to a bunch of teachers here yesterday in Arizona, as well as a bunch of parents. A bunch of parents are pissed, saying, we've had enough. We've had our kids at home for months. They're over it. They're not getting the education. My mother right now is at the point where if it was raining the Ebola virus, she would send my 3 little brothers to school. They're falling so far behind. And she goes, I talked to her over the weekend. She goes, Chad, I thought that, well, they're going to start out online, but they've had to improve the program at some point. Because last year was a slap together hodgepodge of stuff as they tried to go. She goes, it's worse. 4 days. My brother who's in high school. I know it's weird, but just stick with me here. He's adopted. He's my nephew, but he's my brother. My mother's adopted him. 4 days. She goes, he spent about 40 minutes on a Zoom, and that was it with his teacher. And that was this was great. That was the home economics teacher who was trying to teach them how to make macaroni and cheese. My mother's so frustrated with the elementary school, she pulled my other little brother, Bubba, out and put him into a private school that starts next week. People are frustrated. Parents are frustrated. We want to do it right. I think we will. And there's going to be some missteps. At the same time, you hear teachers go, well, I didn't sign up for this. Nobody signs up for it. Well, my life's at risk. Is your life any more at risk than people who work at Walmart? People who are police? People who are paramedics? They signed up for that. Well, you don't have to do your job. Again, nobody's holding a gun to your head. Nobody is holding a gun to your head. You can find another job. And then when you feel it's safer, come back. Teachers are always in short supply. You'll get a gig. Shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't.
On the other side of the country is at the nation's largest school district, New York City, which include electrostatic sprayers and redesigned classrooms with fewer desks. It's opening to students part-time despite protests from the teachers and principals union. Michael McDaniels is a 4th grade teacher in Tampa, Florida. They had their first day of school there yesterday.
The kids don't seem too bothered by the masks. The trouble they seem to have the most is giving each other space. They're so used to being able to be right next to each other.
Then let them. And I've said, especially elementary school. So 6th grade and under, just let them be. You're going to be fine. And I've talked to several teachers like, I just want to go back and teach. I'm ready. Some don't want to, and that's fine too. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. By the way, I bring up the pediatric thing because 67,000 signed it, and all of them are anti-science and hate children. So you have to look it up. It's like, these people are idiots. Oh, my goodness me. Welcome to the world we live in. My Pillow. Love my MyPillows. Love my Go Anywhere pillows because I travel a lot. Not as much as I used to because of the coronavirus. But I tell you what, they're awesome. Slept on my MyPillow last night. My sheets, my towels, MyPillow. Amazing. The Giza sheets, the towels, you will love them all. Right now, they got a BOGO. Buy one, get one free. You buy one, you get one free. That's the way that works. You go to MyPillow.com. There's a promo code Benson. You use it, and you order your stuff. This is what you get. A 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee, made in the USA. And on the way out, when you're checking out, you go, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy Mike Lindell's book. I'm going to order that. When you order that book, he's going to ship everything for free and give you a $25 gift card towards your next purchase. Go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
The axe is swung at the Ellen DeGeneres Show. 3 executive producers named in a BuzzFeed article accused of harassment reportedly fired. Ed Glavin, Kevin Lehman, and Jonathan Norman. Variety says DeGeneres broke the news to staff in an emotional video call Monday. The 3 had been accused of creating a toxic work environment through sexual harassment, abusive behavior, and more. DeGeneres has apologized for allowing the behavior to go on under her watch.
Oh, look at that. Look at what he does there, huh? Going out and she's looking around. You guys are done. Sorry. She probably closed her eyes and looked down. Is this good enough? People rubbing onion under her nose. Get some tears. Get some tears. Get some tears. Put the onion. Put the onion in. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I can't believe this happened. It had to happen, right? It had to. And it did. Finally. Does it save Ellen? Here's the thing about Ellen. Ellen is at a position where she hasn't really done anything, but she's also at the point where you're not canceling Ellen. You're not. It's just not happening. Some people you can get away canceling. And other people, they're in a position where it was never going to happen. She'll cancel herself when she said, I've had enough of this. And she may do that sooner rather than later. She goes, you know what? She may say, you know what? I've had enough of this crap. I'd rather go sit down and do what like Dave Letterman's doing and sit in a room that's dark with 2 chairs and a couple lights, bring some people in, have an hour-long conversation, and not have to give a rat's ass about jumping up and down and asking, so where do you get your hair done? It's the most mindless crap of all. It really is. Trump, he's giving out grades, talking about the excitement that was the RNC, DNC, the ABCs, and everything in between.
No, I thought her speech was very divisive. And frankly, I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for Barack Obama. See, we're standing in the White House. I wouldn't be in the White House except for Barack Obama because they did a bad job, Biden and Obama.
I don't think they did a bad job. I think America wanted to change. I think a lot of what, like, Michelle Obama said last night was there was divisiveness out there, too. And I don't always blame politicians. Let's be real. They could say everything they want. But we're divided in our thought. So somebody coming out and saying something that I agree with or disagree with doesn't make me go out and do certain things. I might just go, But there are people out there that I agree with that or I disagree with that, and I'm going to blame you for it, and the other side's going to blame you for it. I don't think Obama and Biden did a horrible job. But I think there were some things. You know, she talked about we had a great standing in the world. No, we went around and had, the first 4 or 5 years was a giant apology tour that I don't think we needed to do. Sorry. Everybody wants to hate on us until something goes south. Then they're asking us with their hands out to give them that kind of loan you give your friend or your kid where you're like, yeah, I'll loan you money, but I know it's not a loan. I ain't getting that money back. Or you need a little bit of help here. You need a little bit of help there. So, yeah, there was a bit of that. Tonight, Jill. We'll see how that goes. But it was very interesting. It was exactly what you thought it would be. Still kind of boring. They're always kind of boring. And I think producer Phil is right. The best part of it is the roll call of the states. They all get to stand up there and talk about how awesome their state is. From Montana. We got stuff going on here. Really? Now. We were all fighting to get this gig so we get the hell out of there. It's Montana, man. I'm kidding. It's beautiful. It's God's country. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program as well. Love hearing from you. RNC, DNC. I just want to see what the RNC is going to do. They're watching this saying, all right, let's outdo them, which shouldn't be hard. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We choose hope over fear, truth over lies, and yes, unity over division. It's time for us to lift our heads up, open our hearts, remember who we are. We are the United States of America. I mean it. There's not a single thing we cannot do if we do it together.
Yeah! There's no clapping, though, because nobody's there. Later on, we're going to have Jim Kennedy on Kennedy's Institute of Public Policy Research. Talk about, look forward to tonight's excitement. I'm going to touch on today the aftermath. And there's an aftermath. What was all the hubbub about? How great was it? Are we heading into a new world? Is this it? Is it Joe and Kamala, Mrs. Harris? I don't want to screw it up. I want to say Kamala, and then it's Kamala, and then somebody's like, no, and then you screw it up, and then you thought once you think, I said it right, but then you're like, is that even right? You ever write something down, and you're like, that doesn't look right. Are you sure that's right? You're like, yeah, that's right. It just does. So I don't want to mess it up. What's called Mrs. Harris and Mr. Biden. Makes it simple and easy. Right? Biden-Harris ticket. Bernie Sanders last night doing what Bernie does.
Trump has attacked doctors and scientists trying to protect us from the pandemic while refusing to take strong action to produce the masks, gowns, and gloves our healthcare workers desperately need. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Ooh. Trump golfs.
He does. He golfs. I don't care that he golfs. I care when you golf if in the middle, if you're out golfing and like, hey, we're going to go to war tomorrow. I'm going to go play 18. If you're stuck inside of the White House for months on end and you want to go hit golf balls, I don't really care. I didn't care if Obama wanted to do it. There's certain times you don't do it. And being Trump, let's be real, the scrutiny that he's under, whether you like him or not, if you could step back out of your political, airtight echo chamber and just say from a human standpoint, yeah, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. So Biden, take the stage. Periodically, he'll make an appearance. He'll pop out of his hole. And if he sees his shadow, we get another 4 years of Trump. If he doesn't see his shadow. And we won't know that for months. Last night, Kasich was out there.
I'm a lifelong Republican, but that attachment holds second place to my responsibility to my country. That's why I've chosen to appear at this convention. In normal times, something like this would probably never happen. But these are not normal times. I'm proud of my Republican heritage. It's the party of Lincoln, who reflected its founding principles of unity and a higher purpose. But what I have witnessed these past 4 years belies those principles.
Yeah. He and, remember, it was in Cleveland. She's in Ohio 4 years ago. And he didn't appear. It was in his state. He was governor. He's like, no. It's a bit personal. It is. For Kasich. It was, did it fall on deaf ears? No. Kasich, it's like if Mitt Romney would have appeared. Well, at least you're active, but we already know you don't like Trump. And remember, you don't like Trump. There's a difference between not liking Trump and not liking Trump's actions. It's hard on China. I like that. Hard on Russia. I like that. Oh, yeah, those are pretty good, right? Those things I like. I do. He's had a very pro-business stand. I've liked that. He got us out of the Iran nuclear deal, which I thought was a joke. Which I thought was an absolute joke, which, by the way, Chuck Schumer thought was a joke. A lot of people did. Till Trump did it. He's destroying the U.S. Postal Service. He's picking up drop-off points and boxes. Obama picked up 12,000 of them. Not him alone. You know what I mean? There's not him just going out and, hey, come on, Joe, we got to go pick. But nobody cared. It's until Trump does something, then you care because you hate the person. And I'm okay with that. There's a lot to dislike about Trump. There's absolutely a ton to dislike about Trump. He is the king of trolls. There has never been anybody. His greatest book he will write will not be The Art of the Deal. It should be The Art of Troll. Because you've never seen anybody troll people like he has. He's been divisive. He has been. More so because he's in the spotlight. At the end of the day, I love all these people that can't stand him, but then you go look at their voting records, and they're like, it's pretty much kind of on line with Trump. Remember Jeff Flake? Jeff Flake, hated Trump. He's the first one to come out. Senator, Arizona, out there, couldn't stand Trump, came after Trump. Rawr. Then you look at his voting record. You're like, you almost voted with everything he did and wanted. He wants to pull people out of the Middle East, wants to bring our troops home. Remember that? That was going to be a big thing. Remember Obama was going to do that, except for the part where he got us into more skirmishes and more wars. So the actions or the attitude? And Trump has both. I don't like a lot of the attitude he has. I think he makes it harder for people to support him based on his attitude. But his actions, at times have been pretty damn good. His instincts on business have been pretty damn good. A lot of the things he has done have been pretty damn good. Who doesn't want a stronger border? I don't know what's wrong with that. Well, it's racist. Why is it racist? To stop people coming in your country illegally. It's not racist. That's just reality. That's rational. The way you went about handling some of it, I didn't like. I did not like at all. But who allowed it to get to that point? Not Trump. That took years. That took decades to get to that point. Justice reform? Obama didn't do justice reform. He had 8 years. Trump did. You start looking at stuff and you're like, well, it's a little bit different. But the attitude and the person behind it, you don't like. I understand that. I do. I understand that. People, average, everyday people, are pissed.
Rick, you are a farmer. What have the trade wars and the pandemic done to your family's life work?
The trade war was a real stressful and truly a devastating effect on a farm. Probably what people can relate to mostly in agriculture is soybean tariffs. Then whenever you compound the effects of the COVID-19 virus, it's a shame our leadership misinformed people like myself and the country on what was coming down the road. My biggest concern is that if these trends continue with this type of leadership, I will be the last generation farming this farm. Past experiences, if something doesn't work for you, it's time for a change. Supporting Joe Biden all the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. And there's a lot of people out there that are going, you know what? I can't stand Trump, but I think Joe's going to allow China to run all over him. And we can't have that. We can't have that. There's a lot to dislike on both sides. Don't think that either side has a monopoly on the good or bad ideas. They don't. But I think a lot of this is about the person. Do you dislike the person? If Trump was an I could care less kind of personality where you didn't really have an opinion about his personality, you looked at his actions, you probably think he's going to be, he'll probably be reelected. If it wasn't for the pandemic, there's no doubt in my mind he'd walk to this reelection. We'd be cruising along in an economy that was booming. There would be there would be looking for every way that they possibly could to weaken him. That's what your side does. Just like if Hillary would have won, the Republicans would have been doing the same thing. At the end of the day, COVID's thrown everything up in the air. It's made everything out there open for opportunity. But I think people are going to look, and I think a lot of people, especially those independents who voted for Trump, will have a gut check moment coming up. Everybody else has made up their mind. What people are deciding now is, can I do 4 more years of chaos? Can I do 4 more years of nonstop investigations, nonstop fighting, nonstop tweet wars? Because they all realize we're going to get out of this eventually, probably sooner rather than later, that we're going to emerge from this. And then you'll ask yourself, when we do, let's just say it's the middle of next year, that we're back up and running pre-coronavirus levels. Who do I want running this economy? Who do I want revving this engine up? Who do I want taking this thing back to where we were? That's the real question. Can you do 4 more years of chaos? Or 4 years of Joe Biden? Kind of. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, Wounded Paw Project, amazing organization. Love them. Been working with them for a while. Check them out at woundedpawproject.org. So they rescue animals. So I've got rescue dogs, but they're little and they're pretty much useless. So I can't even train them to do a trick. So that's not what they do. They rescue dogs who sometimes are hard cases, and they train them. So they take them from the shelter to become service dogs for veterans, first responders, and their family. It takes a while, it's not cheap, and it's not easy, and they need your help. Now, you can give in so many different ways. You can go to smile.amazon.com and set your supporting a group up to Wounded Paw Project, or you can give with the gift of a vehicle, a donation. If a car, truck, RV, boat, if it floats, it flies, they'll take it. Great tax-deductible gift. And that money is going to go to advocate and train and protect these animals. Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and it truly does shape lives for our veterans, first responders, and the families, and the dog itself. Check it out at woundedpawproject.org. See how you can get involved. Woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a look. Find out what's trending on the interwebs, shall we? Let's do it. President Trump announced yet another pardon, this time for Ms. Susan B. Anthony. She will be pardoned. So 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. He's going to sign a full and complete pardon for the suffrage leader, Susan B. Anthony, who was arrested for illegally voting. Did you see the pool party in Wuhan? It was crazy. It was off the chain. It was like Daytona Beach in the 80s. It was nuts. That's solid that they're doing that. Trump will be blamed for that one. I'm kidding. Kidding. Michelle Obama, trending, as is H1N1. H1N1. The battle is going on about which one's more dangerous. This is where we are. Like we're battling over the Ebola virus, the H1N1. Settle down, my God. We're battling over pandemics, epidemics. Head on over to Google. NBA playoffs are trending. Death Valley. Still hot there, by the way. Still plenty of time to go get, your sweat on. Alexander Payne. Who's he? Another person that Rose McGowan is accused of sexual mischievousness or misconduct. She says she was 15. So, and they've been battling it out. Chain of tweets and whatnot. So, he directed The Descendants and Sideways. And then, schools. When will they open? That's a great question. People are trying to figure that out on a daily basis. What's next for schools? That's trending everywhere, though. Because people have no idea. Parents are in limbo. And when I talk to parents, me being a parent, okay, so if you open the school and then you're like, okay, we're going to go, everybody's going back to work, we're going to go live our lives, right? This is what's going to happen. Parents are like, so what happens in 3 weeks if somebody tests positive? We're going to shut the whole school down. So you're going to shut the whole school down, then the kids are home again, and you got to start all over again. And that's the problem that has gone along this entire time, which is we feel like there's no path being picked. You can have a disdain for the way that Sweden's went about doing and handling their coronavirus, but they picked a path. A lot of countries pick the path, and this is what they do. We're shutting down. The minute we get a case, New Zealand, they got one case, the first case in 102 days, shut the entire country down again. It's frustrating. And I think for parents, it's the unknown. It's one thing when your kid gets sick and has to stay home for 3 days. It's another thing when you shut the entire school down and you don't know for how long. It's the same thing with business owners. Can I reopen? Maybe. When? Tomorrow? Okay. But you're going to close in a week. What? You might have to. Based on what? We have calculations. Whose calculations? They're ours. Okay. And who gets to do the calculating? We do. Based on what? Our testing. Your testing sucks. It's the only testing we got. There's a lot of stuff to be frustrated about. Absolutely. And school is, and I'm telling you guys, moving forward, parents are very upset. And I think what they want to be is heard. And I think they want to feel like they have a choice in the process. But they will remember, come voting time, the next time you ask for more taxes to help schools, parents will remember this. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. He cannot meet this moment. He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us. It is what it is.
Look at that. Michelle Obama last night. Is what it is, because that's what Trump said in that interview with Axios. It is what it is. Joining us now is the person who suffers through it, so many of us don't have to. Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. So a night of epic Zoom calls, and it really, I mean, it was. We were at the last one together, Jim, and we were all going to be there at this next, one that was supposed to happen. This is just bizarre, and I know they're trying to do the best they possibly can, but it's still, it just feels without a crowd, without an audience, it feels very hollow and empty.
Yeah, this is the convention that nobody wanted. These are the conventions that they're trying to make the lemonade out of the lemons with. And they've done a fairly good job, I think, on a production value. They have Eva Longoria come in and host it. She's very appealing and very, she's loved within the Democratic Party. But, it is, it does look. It does look odd, but you know what? So many of us are spent our lives right now over Zoom calls or over Microsoft Team calls that for a lot of us, this is kind of like what our daily lives are like now because of the COVIDs. So it's a year ago, this would be very, very strange, but it's almost somewhat normal for a lot of people now.
Which is weird. All right, so let's talk about last night. Your first impressions across the board with the speakers. You had several prominent, or once prominent Republicans. Kasich's probably the one that's most well known. And what do you think of that?
Well, I think that's it wasn't surprising. There's a lot of Republicans that have spoken out that are never Trumpers against Trump that don't like him for various reasons. John Kasich was interesting because he was standing up there saying Joe Biden is my friend. Then very quickly right after that, the RNC put out a video showing in 2012 John Kasich saying that Joe Biden is a liar. So I'm not really sure who he picks his friends are. They're liars occasionally, but it's interesting. The RNC did their best to put out videos against what the Republicans were saying, but it's not uncommon. The Republicans years ago had a former Democratic governor, Zell Miller, come in and speak against their candidate at the time. So these things happen. It's unfortunate. I think as a Republican and a conservative, it's not something that you like to see happen, but hey, we're a country that lets us do this, and other places you'd get shot for trying to do something like this. I couldn't imagine someone speaking out against Putin, against whoever's running against him and living very long, but God bless America. We let these things happen.
Yeah, talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. So Michelle Obama recorded this a week ago, and she could not be even asked to go back and re-record it. So there was no mention really of Harris or any of that stuff, which I thought was kind of funny. And a lot of what she said felt like kind of backhanded slight at Joe almost.
Yeah, it was interesting because she talks about, I know how hard this job is. I've been there. She watched Barack for 8 years. And it's like, if you're putting a lot of requirements on the job to be president, which there are, I'm not sure Joe Biden is your man, that you're making much of a case for Joe Biden. He's not a guy that you think of as being able to put up with 16-hour days because of his time hiding, his time with the limited amounts of video and appearances that he does. The tougher you make the job sound, I don't think, like I said, you're really helping Joe Biden's case. So that was very interesting. And yeah, I didn't know that till the end that was taped a week ago. So I was curious why there was no reference to Kamala Harris. And then I found out later watching MSNBC that, yeah, they had taped that a couple weeks ago, and that's why it was before she'd been selected. You would have thought they might have just clued her and said, hey, don't say anything, but in a couple of days it's going to be Kamala Harris. So when you tape this, you might want to, give a shout out to her, which would have been bad because if they hadn't picked her for some reason, that could have been problematic.
Yeah, no doubt. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, it would have been. But hey, those things happen. It is Democrats. They do have that tendency to do things like that. But yeah, but everybody loved her speech. They thought everyone was glowing about the speech. She's a decent, she's a pretty good speaker. She can be somewhat inspiring at times. Obviously, her husband can be inspiring at times also. So it kind of runs in the family. But that was the closing punch for Monday night.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. He watches all these things, so you don't have to. That's the beauty of what Jim does. So let's flash forward to tonight, because, you know, the way it works is these things start much later now. It's kind of, I was saying, it's like Coachella, right? So last night, Michelle Obama, she was Beyonce. She was closing the show. You weren't getting her in the afternoon, right? At best, during the middle of the day, you're going to get a lot of different little things here and there. So tonight we've got a myriad of speakers, including Jill Biden. But who else are we looking forward to tonight?
Well, you've got, I would say the two most interesting ones are AOC speaking, and if the schedule is accurate, followed by Bill Clinton, which is kind of interesting because I'm not really sure. You know, you got to think about, I mean, you think of Bill Clinton because after Barack Obama, now he's probably like their second go-to guy as far as presidents that they would want to reference. But, you know, you've got to be at least 30, if not 35, to really register with Bill Clinton. And unfortunately, because of some of his escapades for the younger Democrats, he doesn't really register well. There's a lot of people that kind of point to him and say, me too, or wasn't he the guy that was hanging out with Mr. Epstein? So you kind of wonder about bringing Bill Clinton in. Like I said, he's the second go-to guy after Barack Obama, but I'm not really sure how he's going to register. Maybe they're trying to appeal to the older Democrats to remember the glory days of the Clintons for them. And of course, AOC, you know, you wonder what she's going to say. My understanding was she was only added within the last week. She supposedly has a lot of pull in the Biden campaign, and that she's been the trusted advisor from the progressive wing in the Biden camp. So that's probably how she got that slot. But it'll be interesting to see, because she generally isn't one who pulls her words and pulls her punches. And, you know, they want to be a little bit more appealing to middle America. And she's not someone who generally scores well with middle America.
No. Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Jim, listen to this last night from Kasich, and then I want you to address it, because he's trying to convince people, but I don't know if it's going to convince a lot of the people they need to.
I'm sure there are Republicans and independents who couldn't imagine crossing over to support a Democrat. They fear Joe may turn sharp left and leave them behind. I don't believe that, because I know the measure of the man. It's reasonable, respectful. And you know, no one pushes Joe around. Joe Biden is a man for our times that call for all of us to take off our partisan hats and put our nation first for ourselves and, of course, for our children.
The hard left thing, and that's where Trump and his campaign's trying to pay. It's like, we got to go. This is what it's all about. The AOC's being on stage, that points to that hard left field. You've got Bernie on there, and Bernie even came out over the weekend and said, well, my people really aren't enthused by Joe because they wanted to go hard left. I don't think if it was just Joe that we knew from 10 years ago, that he would go hard left. I think he's more of a centrist left, union guy, kind of thing. But this is a different world. We're, 10 years removed from that Joe. We've got this Joe, and I don't think he is going to have that much of a say in a lot of this stuff.
No, he's not. Not if he's going to want to not if he's going to want to win the presidency. They got to bring those people out. That's why you give Bernie Sanders the number two slot last night, is because Bernie put up a forceful speech, and the question is, will he get the progressives out to vote? As far as Kasich, like I said, they're doing their best to try to reach across the aisle in the sense that, hey, if you're a Republican, come vote for me because there's Trump or there's Biden, and Biden's, according to them, the better option. But in this country, as divided as we are right now, Chad, are there really that many people on the fence? I think we're pretty well divided up in our camps. I think the larger problem for each of the camps is to make sure all their people in the camps come out and vote. Not that I'm going to be able to sway people that, well, gee, is it Trump or is it Biden? I just don't see there being that many people that are in that situation right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough thing because I keep saying it's Trump versus Trump. It's Trump versus Trump. And that, at the end of the day, is what it's going to do. You like his actions, or do you have a disdain for his attitude? And you can look at a lot of his actions, and there's places where he's absolutely misstepped. He doesn't have the empathy. Joe has great empathy. You can tell. He cares. Trump cares, and like my grandpa. My grandfather was a cold man, and we knew he loved us. He took care of us in ways that, and helped my family out. But he was, as a kid, he was very cold. Trump kind of has that feel to him where, he's funny, but he's not. And if you're around him and it's one-on-one, and not every American is going to get to that, you kind of like that. But he doesn't come across that way. He seems very cold because he cares about business. He cares about these things. Where Joe, he looks like he really would look at you and you go, oh, that guy does care. I don't get that with Trump, but you have to ask yourself, is it competency or is it character? And we'd love to have both, but sometimes I think, unfortunately, in this world, we're not going to get that in our politics.
You're absolutely right. And you're right. I mean, Trump is basically his best ally and his worst enemy at the same time. And yeah, Joe Biden is the kind of guy you really do think is a nice guy, would care about you, would throw $5 in the hat of somebody, whereas Trump might call the police and have the guy arrested if he's trying to play the guitar on the street. But he's Trump. He's a business person. He looks at the numbers. Do I need to lose 1,500 people to save money? Okay, I cut 1,500 people because I make a profit. I'm running a business. That's what he does. The government's a little bit different because you're dealing with millions and millions of lives on a daily basis. But yeah, Joe Biden, certainly is I never question whether he's a decent human being at all or not. I mean, that's not a question. But the question is he the man up to be the president? Can he take these 16-hour days? Can he basically make the tough decisions? And like you said, is he going to be pushed to the left by those that are kind of running the party in the background, where he's just the guy standing out front, dangling around when they pull the strings?
Absolutely. Jim Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Look forward to chatting again tomorrow as you'll recap, and we'll look forward to tomorrow night. Have a wonderful day. We'll do it again tomorrow, man.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Check him out on Twitter at Righty Jim. HelloFresh. It's delicious. Love me some HelloFresh. A little pasta last night. So here's the great thing about HelloFresh. So it comes to your door. It saves you money. You don't have to worry about meal prepping. You're going to save 40% of what you would pay going to the grocery store and assembling all the stuff. And you also got to think about your time. What is the time for you? What would you charge an hour to do certain things? And I don't think people realize that in life. What would I charge an hour to put all this stuff together and this, that, and the other, because it's an hour out of my time? This takes all that away. It's great. So they've got low calorie, which I'm doing, vegetarian, and the family-friendly options. The 22 chef-curated recipes, you just assemble it. Put it in the oven, cook it up. By the time you do that and get it to the plate and get it into your mouth, it's about 20 minutes, sometimes less. And it's amazing. And the other thing is they're flexible. Let's say you want to add a day. Let's say you want to add a week. Let's say you want to skip a week. Whatever it is, you want to add meals, they can do that for you as well. That's how flexible HelloFresh is. Start saving now and start eating well with America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use the promo code Benson. You're going to get $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. And that's amazing. It's promo code Benson at HelloFresh.com for $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege. Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, fool. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
For the first time in 5 months, theaters reopened over the weekend in Canada, and SpongeBob had a strong showing.
I love my life.
SpongeBob, Sponge on the Run, and Russell Crowe's Unhinged were the first 2 movies to open wide in North America since March. SpongeBob took in an estimated $900,000, Unhinged just under $600,000. Unhinged will debut in the U.S. this weekend, where theaters in more than 40 states will reopen. SpongeBob will go straight to streaming in the U.S.
Yeah, I want to see Unhinged. That looks really good. If you don't know that, that's a Russell Crowe movie. And it's like, if you remember the movie Falling Down, where Michael Douglas is that knife salesman and he goes in to buy into McDonald's. And he's getting a McMuffin. And they told him it's like 10:01 and they can't. And then his day starts to unravel. This is like that, but on steroids. Guy's having a bad week, if you will, and he's malicious and evil, and he sets his sights on a woman and a child who honk at him. And it just starts to unravel from there. And it looks great. It looks really cool. And when you haven't seen movies for a while, it just looks delicious. I keep saying the thing I miss the most The thing I miss the absolute most with all of the coronavirus crap and all of the insanity and all of this stuff is movies. I miss seeing movies. And I would love to think that here in Arizona we're going to open up the movie theaters soon, but I just don't think that's possible based on, the parameters that have been set. And people, will you go see a movie? I'm like, I'd go see a movie. I think the social distancing is that's not, well, you're going to be indoors. I'm like, I get that. We can't hide forever. And I think we need to start coming to the realization that while we're hoping and praying we're going to have a vaccine sooner rather than later, the reality is we're not there yet. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get out there and live. I've said since day one, I think most people are willing to say, I'll take my chances. And everybody I've talked to, most people are worried about what? They're not worried about getting themselves unless they have compromised immune systems. They're worried about giving it to somebody else. I would hate to know that I gave it to somebody else. Well, I don't think anybody wants to be in that position. We're doing a little bit better. California's still a mess. Florida's still a mess-ish. But it just feels like one of these ebbs and flows. We've changed a few things here in Arizona, but it seems like it ran its course. Just feels like kind of that way in a lot of places. Like it's doing something, and then it gets to a certain level, and it's like, and New York doesn't want it to come back.
If you're going to travel, go to a place that is not on the New York State list of states that are experiencing a profound coronavirus problem.
Translation, don't bring it back here. Remember that? Remember when they were the ones that were the hot spot? Like they were the hot spot? And if you go and look, Florida and California have greater numbers than they do as far as how many people are infected. But the rate of death is far, far less than what it was in New York. We'll never know the actual rates. We'll never know the actual numbers because it's just too hard to quantify. How many people out there have had this and will never, ever know they had it? Too many. For every one person that goes and tests positive, there's probably anywhere between, depending on who you talk to, 5 to 25 that will never get tested that potentially have it. Oh, I miss movies. Popcorn, hot dog. Yeah, I'd go see a movie. I just don't know if I could do 2 hours in a mask. 2.5 hours. And I just don't know. I don't know. That's my big issue. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. And you have some 18-year-old kid going, sir, can you put your mask back on? I don't want to be the guy go, really? Looking at him. I know it's your job. Please, sir. I get it. I'm the only one in here. I'll take my chances. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Our nation is in crisis, and in many ways, COVID is just a metaphor. A virus attacks when the body is weak and when it cannot defend itself. Over these past few years, America's body politic has been weakened. The divisions have been growing deeper. The anti-Semitism, the anti-Latino, the anti-immigrant fervor, the racism in Charlottesville, where the KKK didn't even bother to wear their hoods, and in Minnesota, where the life was squeezed from Mr. Floyd. Only a strong body can fight off the virus, and America's divisions weakened it.
Said the man who sent people who were elderly with the coronavirus back into the old folks' home. Remember when there was like, he should probably run for president. Maybe they could slip him in. And then everybody's like, do you guys know what he did? That's Cuomo right there. Not the one on TV. The other one. That's who Trump tweeted about last night. He tweeted about that. Tweeted a lot about that. And I kept telling everybody, it's personal. We were just talking about off the air. It's personal. Nadler and him, personal. Personal. New York, personal. Cuomo and him, personal. New York, personal. You didn't like my dad, I didn't like your dad. You don't like me, I don't like you. It's personal. Trump makes a lot of things personal, but so does a lot of people in New York. He wasn't finished.
Donald Trump didn't create the initial division. The division created Trump. He only made it worse. Our collective strength is exercised through government. It is, in effect, our immune system. And our current federal government is dysfunctional and incompetent. It couldn't fight off the virus. In fact, it didn't even see it coming.
So that's what you get the DNC. More of that tonight. You got Clinton tonight. It's going to be awesome. I'm right behind AOC. It's where I like to be. Isn't that weird? I'm like, so he's because he's kind of like Clinton and Bush are really quiet. They've said a few things here and there, but by and large, Bush is doing his paintings and you know, Clinton, the only time he's been brought up in the last several years is because of his wife Hillary and all those things with that Epstein fellow on his airplane and such. That's a great island. You ever been there? Super nice. Got a kids park. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. So that's what you get tonight. So you get Jill and then you get Bill. You get Jill and Bill. Bill and Jill. So that'll be fun. And I'm sure we'll have a pop-up somewhere of Biden. Like there's who knows where he's gonna just show up at somebody's Zoom meeting because it's all going on throughout the day. So right now it's like that early part of Coachella where you're like, what time should we get there? Oh, let's get there at, I don't know, 11:30 or 12. Gates open up at 10, but let's get there at 12. That way we can rest a little bit. We get ourselves situated. There's a good band over here that I want to see on the other stage, on the small stage, in the tent. If you've never been to Coachella, they've got like 4 different stages, and they got like the tent, and over here's like the one that for the bands that used to be. And then you'll have your headliners. So tonight's headliner is Jill Biden, and then Bill Clinton before her, which is weird, but I get it. Last night it was Michelle Obama. She was the headliner. I would say she brought the house down, but the reality is there was no house to bring down. She taped this several days ago, before Harris was even named to the ticket.
Because whenever we look to this White House for some leadership or consolation or any semblance of steadiness, what we get instead is chaos, division, and a total and utter lack of empathy.
Yeah, he's not very empathetic. Last hour we had Jim Kennedy on. He said something that was awesome. He said, and it's spot on. I keep saying Trump doesn't have that kind of empathy. He just doesn't. That's not who he is. He's a numbers guy. It's business. Nothing's personal. It's business. And if you make it personal, he's going to make it doubly personal. And he'll start by hitting you below the belt. And it goes back and forth. Joe is very much, he's got the empathy. And Jim Kennedy from the Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research said, Joe's the guy that'll put $5 in the hat for the guy playing the guitar, and Trump will have the guy arrested for being out there playing the guitar, for busking. That's kind of the way it is. It is. It's kind of the way it is. And he does like chaos. I will not. At least Cuomo was honest when he talked about the divisiveness in our country, because the reality is that's there. That's there. You hear the we need to come together.
Uniting America. Every 4 years, we come together to reaffirm our democracy. This year, we've come to save it. It's going to take all of us. So tonight we stand together, united by the values we cherish: decency, respect, justice, and the opportunity to rise up.
Here's my problem with a lot of that. How are you going to unite? I ask this on a daily basis. How does Biden unite? My thing is Biden, the extremes aren't going anywhere. So they'll ha. Whoever wins is going to gloat, and whoever loses is going to cry and complain. The rest of us won't be so caught up in it. We'll be bored. We'll move on. So that tired, exhausted majority won't be as involved. So that's kind of uniting by boring. But we're not talking about that division because most of us aren't that divided. I'm not divided like that with any of my friends. And I have, and let me tell you something. I've got friends, and I have a lot of friends, and we've grown up together. And I've got friends who are, newer friends. And I've got friends all over the political spectrum. And when I mean that, that's most of my friends, the majority of my younger friends and by younger, I mean, these aren't just friends. These people are family as far as I'm concerned. I've got several friends. I think I have 6 friends that I went to. Are you guys ready for this? I went to co-op with before preschool. And we're still friends. Not one of them. One of them is conservative. All the other ones are uber left-leaning. And we all love each other. And I don't choose my friends based on their political leanings. I get out of echo chambers. I want to know what people think. I think it's the best thing to do. I think the extremes will always be the extremes. They're not going anywhere. The uniting is just going to be boring. It's just going to be, there's no drama. Like if you covered Kim Kardashian and all of the reason we watch those shows and the Real Housewives or whatever is because they're nothing but drama. So our eyes are drawn to it. Oh, these people are fighting. It's the reason why things go viral. There's algorithms that tell you this goes viral. Why? Because this is the emotion that evokes people to have a reaction. And because of that reaction, they're going to pay attention to it. And they'll do that. If you see 2 people just having a conversation, you're like, that's boring. And that's kind of what you're going to get with Joe. You're going to get, steadiness of boring. And for some people, that's what they want. They crave that stuff. Trump has never been that way. But it doesn't mean it's going to be successful. Just because there's not chaos, there's no chaos, so it's got to be successful. No, that doesn't make doesn't make it successful. So, actions and attitude. Trump has a lot of good actions, and he's got a really piss-poor attitude. Trump is a giant personality. Biden is Biden. Everybody likes Joe. Trump really doesn't care what you think and is the master of being a troll. Cares about numbers. He looks at it, if the economy's doing well, you're doing well, life is good. Joe looks at people in a much different way. People are going to make that decision. But don't confuse, and I think a lot of people do, that somehow if Joe gets in there and magically things calm down and there's less chaos and people just kind of go, I'm bored with this now, that tomorrow is going to be a wonderful day and everything overnight changes. Because that's not reality either. Just because somebody's bland and boring and is the establishment doesn't mean it's going to be successful. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Another night. So you got Bill, you got Jill. And more Zoom calls. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Masterclass. Yes, indeed. I love Masterclass. And if you don't know what it is, how would you like Tony Hawk to go, I'm going to show you how to skateboard? Annie Leibovitz, talk about the secrets and teach you photography. Yeah. Shonda Rhimes teaching you how to write for television. These are the masters. Phil Ivey teaching poker. And, Gary Kasparov teaching you chess. That's what Masterclass is. Learning things that are incredible. 85 classes ranging from the best of the best in everything from chess to poker to learning how to cook. You name it, they've got it. And it's closer than you think. Each class has downloadable material. Now, what are the classes? You do it at your own pace. You do it on your computer, your tablet, your phone, smart TV, whatever it is. About 20 lessons usually, and they're about 10 minutes per lesson. Makes it easy to digest on your free time, and the knowledge you get from this is amazing. Check it out for yourself, and guess what? Get unlimited access right now. Just for being a listener of The Chad Benson Show. You're going to get 15% off the annual membership. All you have to do is go to masterclass.com/Benson. That's masterclass.com/Benson for 15% off. Masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
You know how much people suck? I'll tell you guys how much people suck. This is a little girl, little British girl. Her name is Nandi Bushell, right? She's a drummer. I think she's maybe 9 or 10, and she loves hard rock. So she's playing covers to all of these things. Toxicity, Basket Case. And she's rocking it right here. She's got the things going. She's flipping around and the sticks, or whatever you call them. And she's just going to town, and she's singing, and she's getting ready. She's got like 100,000 followers. Right? And she's getting ready to rock out. She's like 10. And this is her playing the drums. Right? She's getting ready to go. And this is a tough song. You got to be really fit. And she's rocking out too. I love it. What I love is, she's going to town. Little English girl. And she crushes it. And you go on and you look at her YouTube and you have all these people who like give it the thumbs down. And I just think to myself, it's just, you want to know why we suck? Because we've given people a platform to be a-holes with zero ramifications. What if you had to, if you're going to make a negative comment, right? Like, she sucks. Well, you've got to prove you're better or you're not allowed to say something like that. What if you had to prove? Well, I don't want to do that. Because you don't have the cojones to do what she's doing. She's better than you. And you're a grown-ass man living with your mom. Producer Phil, you play the drums, I've heard. I'm going to send this to Producer Phil. I want Phil to take a look at this. She rocks it. It's a tough thing. But it's not just about her drumming. It shows you, though, where we are. You put yourself out there. It doesn't matter what you do. People inherently, because it's so much easier to be negative than positive. It's so much easier to have a down thought than an up thought. It's so much easier to say, you suck. Because when you show people, this is what I'm doing. And it doesn't matter what it is. You go tell your mom, your dad, your best friend, your wife, your husband, and I've got a great idea. I want to try something. People are going to try to knock you down. And mostly it's because they feel like they're less than, and their fear is you're going to pull away from them. You're going to pull away from them. And it just shows you, like, here's a little girl who's kicking ass. She's putting herself out there. And you've got negative comments. And I'm just like, because you don't have the cojones to do it. It takes a lot to do something, to put yourself out there. Because know this, and my son asks me this all the time. Like, how do you do it? Because I get all kinds of nastiness all the time. And I'm just like, because I don't really, who do you and what do you value? And for some people, they take it in and it eats them up. And for other people, they just, it means very little. You know, I don't, he's like, do you read the comments? And I said, yeah, sometimes I comment back because I just want to find out the mindset of some people. But I don't take it to heart. But it's not everybody can do that. But most of the time what I find, it's people, you're challenging their ideas, and that makes them uncomfortable, or you're doing something and they've not done something and they would like to do something. It doesn't matter what it is. Why does she have 100,000 followers and I don't? I'm a better drummer than she is. Really? Well, why aren't you doing it? Because. And they'll make excuses. Why? They'll make excuses. It's usually fear. It's usually fear. Mostly. What was that movie that Brad Pitt played Achilles in? And that kid said, I can't believe you're going to go fight that giant monster of a man. I'd be terrified. And he says, well, that's why you are you, and people will remember me forever. That's why people do stuff, and other people don't. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Trump pulled the feds. Portland's still a mess. Let's still blame it on Trump. We'll touch a bit on that. More on the DNC, and this postal thing is still really bizarre. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The stakes in this election are greater than any in modern times.
I love steak.
Many of us have been deeply concerned about the current path we've been following for the past 4 years. It's a path that's led to division, dysfunction, irresponsibility, and growing vitriol between our citizens. Continuing to follow that path will have terrible consequences for America's soul because we're being taken down the wrong road by a president who is pitted one against the other. He's unlike all of our best leaders before him who worked to unite us, to bridge our differences, and lead us to a united America.
Yeah. Isn't it more us than the leaders? I mean, honestly. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that AOC really cares about what people who don't believe what she believes or want what she wants? You really think that she cares? No. It's not where we are anymore. But at the same time, do you think that people who are on the other side of you are going to get behind anybody that's on your team? Probably not. And vice versa. So it's not like if as John Kasich said, you know, we're going down the wrong path and you go and vote for, well, I'm going to go vote for Joe Biden because why? Well, because of the chaos. I don't want the chaos. Okay, well, there you go. You don't want the chaos. But it can't be for the actions and the politics. Because if it's for the actions and the politics, then in theory, then you're not a Republican, right? You want government to be central in your life. You want bigger government, although quite frankly, both of them have the bigger government. They're always into bigger government because bigger means more power. But you're okay with that. You're okay with, and I just sit there and laugh because we want to put all of this on Trump, and he deserves some of the blame, but we were divided long before this. Most people have picked a side. The extremes have uber picked a side. They've just, this is who I am. I'm planting my flag here. And I'm not getting behind anybody who's not on my team. So that person will not be my president. People on the left, Trump's not my president. If Joe wins, people on the right, Joe's not my president. We're not getting behind that. And that's on us. And I think if Trump does lose, and we won't know, it's going to be a while before we figure any of this stuff out. Like I said, both of them will snatch defeat from the jaws of victory on more than a few occasions between now and then. I think if that does happen, you watch. People are, we're going to look back in a year or so and go, well, you know, I don't like a lot of what they're doing. I mean, we're still fighting with each other. Maybe it wasn't all Trump. And I think that's a lot what we have to realize. It wasn't all Trump. Trump filled the void. Trump became a mouthpiece for a lot of people out there who felt like they didn't have anybody to fire back. Nobody was protecting them. They were looking around going, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles. They're all a bunch of, they're all a bunch of liberal elites who think we're knuckle draggers and only date our sisters, and we do love God, and because of that, somehow we're simpletons. And then Trump came along and he filled that void. Because before you didn't really hear them. Then Trump came in and said, I know you don't like those people and they don't like you. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, we don't like them. But what are you going to do about it? And Trump's like, I'll tell you what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to troll the hell out of them. I'm going to be your mouthpiece. I'll be your whooping stick. But it was always there. Can we unite behind somebody? I think to myself, if 9/11 happened today, I don't think we get behind. I think we'll have people on the right, they'll be pissed and they'll be angry and they'll turn it into a race issue like we've never seen. An immediacy, and we'll and the thing on the left, you'll have people who will sympathize and empathize and find out why we deserved what we got. And that we deserve, and it's sad. It is, but this is what we have. And you're going to see this going forward even more. And I think eventually what happens is it is going to get ugly, but not in there's going to be a civil war. It's not going to be a civil war. It's not going to be a civil war. First of all, we're too lazy as a nation. We're lazy. We're not getting out. Right? If it's an app, we may do it. We may say, all right, we're going to have a civil war. And people are, all right, cool, let's have a civil war. And then we'll build it out on a video game, right? And then we'll play it. And then we're like, and then we'll get bored with it. You know how much it cost me last year? My in-purchase apps? We're too lazy. We are. Trump filled a void that was there. You can't blame Trump for that. The rhetoric, the fighting, a lot of that stuff, yeah, the chaos, you can look at Trump and say that's on you. But to say that this is all Trump's fault is silly. It's just not. He plays a game. He understands it. He trolls the hell out of it. He uses it to his advantage and sometimes his detriment. But he's only playing the hand that was dealt to him. And more often than not, he's playing it well.
Can you explain how you are sabotaging the Postal Service?
Yeah, well, no, I'm just making it good. We have a very, very good business guy running it, and I want to make, I jokingly say, but it's true, I want to make the post office great again, okay? The post office lost $78 billion over a very short period of time. Think of it, over the last 10, 12 years, something like that. 78 billion with a B, billion. And we're making it so it is going to be good.
The battle continues over the post office. And people ask me, so is this real? Is it not real? Trump doesn't want this. Is this, you've got all sides. And what happens in politics? It's louder and it's bigger than it should be. You got the Pelosi's.
Don't pay any attention to them. Their purpose is to frighten people from voting. The more chaos they can create, the more fear they can instill about, well, your vote's not going to count anyway, it won't matter, and it's probably corrupt and get caught up in something. That's their purpose. Their purpose is not to remove obstacles of participation, to honor the vision of our founders that we would have the sacred right to vote. It's to scare people. Ignore them. Don't pay any attention to them. Their purpose is to frighten people from voting.
That right there, Nancy Pelosi. That's their purpose. I continue to say, I have no problem with voting by mail. And then people say, oh, Chad, you just don't understand all the fraud. And I said, well, just prove it, show it. And then they'll say, well, so-and-so broke it down. And I go, no, I want you to show me. Don't tell me what somebody else did. And then you go look, and they're like, you go, okay, so there's been how many hundreds of millions of votes, and you found 7 here, 25 over there. And show me the hundreds of thousands and millions upon millions. And don't confuse nefariousness for incompetence and being overwhelmed.
What I think, the Postal Service is going to be just fine. We're going to make sure the ability to function going into the election is not adversely affected. I don't share the concern that the President's concerned. As mentioned, and in fact, Secretary Mnuchin, in discussions with the Speaker, had already indicated the administration was prepared to spend up to $10 billion just to make sure that the post office is on good firm footing going into the November election.
$10 billion sounds right. There you go. We're willing to spend a little bit on the post office. Mitch McConnell, he doesn't think there's widespread fraud, any of those things. I'm not worried about whether or not there's fraud. I'm more worried about incompetence. Look at New York and New Jersey. They weren't set up for it. Now, the post office can come out and say, we're totally fine. But you've already flubbed your lines the first time in kind of a dress rehearsal. I do have an issue with that, more than I do about the fraud side of things. But the fact that we're talking about the post office, this shows you, first of all, how fast we can just change and pivot on a dime because we're like, ooh, a squirrel. Ooh, shiny piece of candy. We'll go here. We'll go there. That right there makes you go, We're looking over here. It's the post office now? Is it going to stop people from voting? Or is it going to help them vote? Both? I do worry about that. The model is the way that Colorado is doing it. The difference between Colorado and everywhere else is they've been doing it for a long time. I don't think widespread fraud would happen during mail-in voting. I do think, though, there would be a lot of mishaps, misplacements, goof-ups, and it would make it it's just not ready. If you say 4 years, we're going to have this thing rocking and rolling. Great. You've got time. You've got to run up. I have zero problems with that. If you say 2 years, we're going to do the midterms this way, I would have zero problems with that. Doing it a few months before and it's not ready, there could be an issue. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. Hey, do you guys remember Lori Loughlin, Aunt Becky? Yeah, she's still in trouble.
Full House actress Lori Loughlin may not have been as involved as her fashion designer husband, Massimo Giannulli, but federal prosecutors in Boston said she was nonetheless fully complicit in the scheme. The couple pleaded guilty and will be sentenced later this week. Prosecutors said Loughlin deserves 2 months and Giannulli 5 months in prison because he was the more active participant, at one point steamrolling an honest high school counselor who threatened to uncover how the couple paid $500,000 to get 2 daughters into USC as fake crew team recruits.
Yeah. 2 months and 5 months. I still think, if it was me, I would make them match whatever they put in to getting those kids into school an X amount of weeks and months working in inner city and underserved areas, showing them how they became successful, helping them along the way. Doing things like that would serve everybody far better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's not going to be the same this year without the Hallmark Christmas and no Lori Loughlin. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. Tweet at me. Text the programs. Chad Benson Show.
check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
My friends, on this show, we talk about facts over feelings. We talk about science. We talk about nature. One thing we always say about nature, producer Phil, remind everybody about nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up.
Oh my God, it got her.
Yep, and it's dragging her.
Holy oh my God. Don't.
And she doesn't have any pants.
She has no pants on?
No, not anymore.
Oh my
God. On this horn.
She's unconscious. She got too close.
Yeah.
Oh my God. These fucking stupid people.
That is the greatest audio that you'll ever need to know. That was a woman being attacked by a bison. And the play-by-play, South Dakota, Custer Park, by the couple was delicious. Yeah. First of all, just to let you know, you get about 2,500 pounds, sometimes 3,000 pounds. And she got close. They're not friendly. They are wild. They are nature. She thought, I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to take a picture. Get close, and I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to just let me get close. Well, she got close. Ripped off her pants. Knocked her out. And what I love the best is these blanking people. Chad, she's okay, by the way. But even if she wasn't, I wouldn't care. How could you say that? Because if you're dumb enough to go up to a wild animal that close to snap a picture, yeah, I've got a photograph opportunity that's second to none. If you're dumb enough to do that, you'll pay the price. And there were other people. And she just seemed to be very brazen in the way that she went about doing. And people are right. What are you doing? And she got lit. And it only takes 1 second. And then what happens is she probably got stuck on the horn by the looks of it before she had no more pants. And it was probably like when a cat gets a box on his head. Ah! And I just love these effing people. What would you have done there? I know what not to do. I don't get close to that, especially when there's calves. You just don't do that. But nature will mess you up. And when you're stupid, nature's just doing what nature does. Thinning that there herd. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us and text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Football, college-wise, I do believe it's going to go on in some way, shape, or form because, well, you got the SEC, and baby, it's the SEC.
Brandon Cajo has a slight knee injury, probably out for a few days. Like I said, we're not going to we're going to keep all those issues internal to our team.
That's Nick Saban. He's talking football because that's what Nick Saban does. That's what the South is all about. They are going to go for it. They're going to be playing. The SEC is going to be doing that.
We're acting in the direction of, the SEC Medical Task Force, the CDC, a lot of other folks to try to comply 100% with everything that we can do to create a safe environment for our players. And I think it's twofold. The bubble we have here, we've been very successful with. We've had less than a 2%, positive rate since I think the last month or so, less than 1% the last couple weeks.
Yeah, they're going to play. Big Ten, they're still asking questions of how did this happen? How are we not playing? Pac-12, nobody even cares. Without SE being relevant, nobody cares at all about the Pac. Maybe Oregon once in a while or one of the Washington, but outside of that, nobody cares. But SEC, ACC, Big 12, that's football country. We will be playing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, another night of excitement that is the DNC. Be prepared. Or not, really. I'll recap everything for you. We'll do the heavy lifting. You just do the laughing. Have a great rest of your day. Eat a taco. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.